Welcome to Health Professional Radio, this health supplier segment. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Glad that you could join us. Going to have a conversation with Mr. Joel Toon. He's CEO of Enteris Biopharma, and he's joining us here on the program today to talk about their proprietary drug delivery technology. It's very exciting. It allows you to take drugs that normally were only given intravenously by mouth. Welcome to the program, Joel. How are you?
I'm doing great this morning. Thank you, Neil. Good to talk to you.
Give me a little bit of background about yourself. Tell us about yourself and about Enteris Biopharma. I understand that you studied in Louisville, Kentucky.
I did. I went to engineering school in Louisville at the University of Louisville. And right after college, I joined Baxter Healthcare and worked there for 28 years. Left there about 10 years ago and have been consulting and working with biotech and medical device companies for the last 10 years.
So how did you become involved with Enteris?
They approached me. Our current investor was looking for someone with experience in the biotech area to join the board originally, and I joined the board. I was very excited about the technology, and joined the board, and then a couple of years ago, at the beginning of 2016, I stepped in as CEO to run more of the day-to-day operations.
Now, you, as a lot of other folks, are very excited about a certain technology. Now, this isn't the only technology that we're going to discuss today that Enteris is involved in. Is that correct? Yes,
we have a platform technology that allows, as you mentioned earlier, us to orally deliver specifically peptides for administration, oral administration.
Explain to our listeners why peptides specifically are involved in this particular technology.
Well, historically, peptides are a class of molecules that you've had to deliver through injection. That's really been the only way to get them in the body. And the folks here at Enteris developed a technique which allows the peptide tablet in the tablet to pass through the stomach and then open up in the small intestine and then be absorbed intact through the small gaps between the cells in the small intestine. It's called paracellular transport.
So it doesn't get broken down in the stomach long before its effectiveness, right?
Correct. Yeah, we enterically coat the tablet so that the drug itself and the excipients we add aren't touched at all in the stomach. The tablet starts to dissolve once it gets into the small intestine.
How long has this technology been around?
We've been working on this technology for a number of years. And the patents, I think the first patents that we have on the technology were issued in 2012.
So lots of advancements and lots of opportunity to track how patients are faring after this technology has been implemented, right?
Yeah, we've actually got a great deal of experience with a wide range of peptides. Both animal trials, we've tested 25 or 30 different compounds. And in humans, we have data on about a half a dozen. One of them is actually in phase 3. We have several compounds that are in phase 2 testing in humans, and then several others that we're still in the earlier stages. We work primarily with pharma companies on their compounds, but we have taken 2 older peptides from that where the patents have expired, and we've started
specifically that this technology lends itself very well to is endometriosis. A little bit of background as far as your experience into endometriosis, who is affected, and how is this technology bringing hope to them?
That's a great question. The endometriosis affects about 6 million women in the United States, and it's the growth of uterine tissue outside of the uterus. The most effective drug to treat it today is a drug called Leuprolide. It's a very old peptide drug. It's given in a depot injection. You give it once, do the injection once, and it lasts for either 30 or 90 days. Endometriosis is an extremely painful disease, But even with the pain, unfortunately, because of the route of administration, the depot injection, leuprolide is not often used. It's by and far and wide the most effective compound, but it's not used very often because of the depot injection. We've found that we can deliver it orally with our formulation. We believe, and our market research tells us from doctors and patients, as a result of being able to deliver it oral, that more patients will use it, and the doctors will prescribe it more often and earlier in the treatment of this painful condition.
Is more women being able to use it or being inclined to use it the only benefit of this oral as opposed to injectable peptide?
Yeah, that's the real benefit, because it's we suppress the hormones that cause the endometriosis, estradiol specifically, just like the injectable. More women will be able to use it, and the reason they'll be able to use it is because they can manage any side effects better by being able to stop when they want to, as opposed to having it in their body and not being able to do anything about it for 30 to 90 days, as happens currently with the injection. So it really gives the patient more control over their therapy.
What do you see on the horizon as far as Peptelligence is concerned, as far as any more developments or being able to introduce even more types of drugs orally as opposed to their traditional injectable means of delivery?
Well, I think we've just begun to scratch the surface. The opportunities ahead of us are substantial. The variety of peptides that we can deliver is very broad. The experience that we've gained with multiple drugs in human trials and a wide range of animal data makes pharma companies look at us much more closely, look at the oral route for a peptide much more closely than they have in the past, because there really isn't anybody else in a position to do that.
Now, in wrapping up, Joel, when it comes to cost, what are we looking at as far as savings when it comes to oral delivery as opposed to injectable?
I think in the biggest one is that typically an injection, with the exception of someone like a diabetic who injects themselves every day, injections are typically require a doctor visit, and so there's obviously a cost to the visit, but there's also, for lack of a better word, a societal cost, where the individual has to take time off from work, time away from their family, to make that doctor visit. With a tablet, they just get up in the morning, they take it after they brush their teeth in the morning, and they can continue on with their day as normal. So there's a couple significant elements of cost.
Where can we go online and learn some more about your company and about Peptelligence as well?
Enteris, ENTERIS.com is our website, and it has a very good description of our technology and explains to folks how they can get in contact with us to get access to working with us.
Joel, it has been a pleasure speaking with you today. I'm hoping to talk with you again.
Thank you very much for your time, Neil. I really appreciate it.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio, this health supplier segment. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Transcripts and audio of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, listen in and download at SoundCloud, and be sure and visit our affiliates page at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au.
Thank you for listening to Health Professional Radio. We're very proud to be an independent broadcaster providing our content free of charge to you, the listener. One of the ways that we're able to remain free and independent is by having people like you become patrons. You can support Health Professional Radio simply by visiting hpr.fm and clicking the button that says Become a Patron. Your patronage of even just $1 a month lets us know that you're there, which in turn makes us more valuable to advertisers. And, of course, if you're able to afford more, then we would certainly appreciate the support. My name is Toby Longhurst from Health Professional Radio. Please visit hpr.fm click the Become a Patron button and support us if you can.